The easiest way to quit a bad habit is to get a piece of paper and draw two columns. On the left-hand side, you write down exactly what this bad habit is, no matter how many of them there are. And on the right-hand side, you write down exactly, as specifically as possible, what it is you're getting from this bad habit. Like a toxic ex who's slagging that. Good. What makes you keep coming back? If we take 4 quick examples. WhatsApp, messaging loads of people. You wouldn't really think that's a bad habit, but in my experience it is, because you're messaging loads of people, so you've got loads of conversational loops open, which just drains your energy. Long story short, if it's worth saying, it's worth eye contact. What? Oh no, pornography, eating junk food, and scrolling YouTube. What does the bad habit of messaging loads of people on WhatsApp give me? Well, community, love, bonding, conversation, momentary flirty energy exchange, depending on who I'm messaging. I don't get that if I'm messaging my family. Watching pornography, sexual release, real-world distraction, eating junk food, instant calorie and energy access, ease and distraction. Finally, scrolling YouTube serves the purpose of distracting me from my thoughts and reality and entertainment. But after you've highlighted what you're getting from this bad habit, you don't just stop there. You keep this piece of paper out in your environment 24/7. You slap it on the wall, or you keep it on your desk and you read it every single day. Because what you're doing is you're raising your level of consciousness and awareness over this problem, which is going to solve 90% of this problem. As the saying goes, to understand the problem is to solve it. Right now, the state you're likely in, correct me if I'm wrong, is the opposite, whereby you feel the impulse to engage in this bad habit and relapse. You notice that impulse, you start arguing with yourself in your head and saying, no, I can't relapse, I need to hold myself accountable, I can't do it. Boom, 5 or 10 minutes goes by, you're suddenly sat on the sofa with a tub of ice cream, or you're scrolling YouTube again, or you're whisking an omelette. And then you do that bad habit and you wonder, what the bloody hell happened then? I wasn't even paying attention. Yeah, of course you wasn't paying attention, because this bad habit has been so ingrained in your subconscious at an unconscious level, of course. So what we need to do is not do it and think about it. We need to raise our level of consciousness over this problem, and this is what this is going to help you do. That's solving 90% of the problem. What's the last 10% to fully banish this problem? Well, this is the bottom line of this video. If you want to fully banish this bad habit forever, you need to remember everything that is in this column and then meet these needs in the real world. And understand that meeting these needs in the real world takes a lot more time, energy, effort, and dedication. But when you meet those needs in the real world, rather than artificially, the rewards are a lot more longer lasting, fulfilling, and they lead to a meaningful life. In fact, we could define the meaning of your life as the process in which you go out into the real world to meet these needs. That's what the meaning of life is comprised of. If I give you a quick example, let's zone in on this bad habit for me of messaging loads of people on WhatsApp. Okay, what is the need I'm getting met from this flirty energy exchange? What would that look like if I went out to meet that need in the real world? Well, I would probably have to go to a place, like an activity, or somewhere where I could meet women, people from the opposite sex, and have this flirty energy exchange in a conversational form with them, and perhaps get their number. That means I would probably have to start dating again. No, fuck that. Let's move on quickly. Pornography. What would meeting the need of real-world distraction look like in the real world? Well, that would mean I would have to find another way to distract my thoughts in moments of distress and emotionally regulate. That could look like going on a walk. In those moments where I want to cave in to the feeling of relapse and speak to myself out loud on that walk, or listen to a podcast, or find another means to take my mind off of my mind. It could be breath work, for example. As the saying goes, the mind is the master over the body, but the breath is the master over the mind. One more example, junk food. What would meeting the need, oh no, let's do scrolling YouTube, entertainment. What would that look like in the real world? Well, I would have to find another form of entertainment, for example, going out to a comedy show or starting improv classes, somewhere where I'm going to feel that feel-good angel cocktail of chemicals that I feel whenever I watch a YouTube video. But the rewards of doing that thing in the real world are much more fulfilling. Now lastly, last tip to help you banish this bad habit is take a bad habit that you want to quit after understanding the needs that it's fulfilling and simply ask, what would have to be true about my life for this bad habit to not exist? Let's look at junk food. What would have to be true about my life for me to never eat junk food again? Well, if I use this information, I would have to understand that I would need alternatives in my kitchen which provide me a sense of ease and instant calorie and energy access. So what I would probably have to do is, in those times in which I don't feel hungry, I would have to think forward for myself, Lewis, in 7 hours when he might be hungry, and prepare something for him to grab that is readily available but is more nutritious. What would have to be true about my life for this bad habit to not exist? What would have to be true about my life for the bad habit of me watching pornography to not exist? Well, if I'm primarily getting sexual release from this bad habit, maybe it's time to look myself in the mirror and admit it's time to be in a relationship, or it's time to go down that avenue, if that's an important need for you. Again, real world distraction was very similar to the scrolling YouTube. Oh no, we already covered that, no? Yeah, we already covered that. One last one. What would have to be true about my life for me to not feel the need to message loads of people on WhatsApp? Well, I would have to be meeting my conversational needs in the real world, which means I would have to have people available to talk to. I need more friends. Or I need a place where I can go to once, twice, or 3 times a week where I know people are going to be there and they're going to ask me about how my day has been or how my week's been, what my plans are for the weekend, or what have you. I'll need people to speak to. How am I going to be able to find people to speak to? Well, I'll have to go where they are. Go to an activity like we covered in the last video, or go to a place where I show myself to the world and people get to know me and they see that I'm familiar. That's an example. That's the summary. Increase your level of consciousness by doing this. Understand you're going to have to meet these needs in the real world, which takes a lot more time, energy, and dedication. Those rewards, when they are met, are much more fulfilling, however. And finally, to help you with that process, ask what would have to be true about my life for this bad habit to not exist. Stay disciplined, playful, dangerous. Thank you very much for watching this video. Adios, muchachos y muchachas.